revelation of Negi, firstborn of the Negi generations, and son of the soil, given for the shedding abroad of understanding and knowledge to the hosts of every realm, age, and dimension throughout the omniverses. Grace and peace, enrapture the filth within your every being. Let it feel your bones and your blood. Let it save you from the depths of damnation. Take the one true Francis of the Filth. Let him fill your body and your soul. Follow his teachings so that you too can rise from the depths of mortals and become a rank and file and be one with the Peace Lords. Throughout the omnibuses we shall be one with each other.
I was busy thinking about boys.
What up, little homies? What up, Peace Lords? It's your boy, Smelly Taint, ready to give you that fire episode of jbostTV. Okay. If you're not aware, that's fucking stupid. That's a stupid thing to say. Of course you are aware. You clicked on the video knowing exactly what you were getting into. You know exactly what we're here to talk about. George Miller has released a book entitled Francis the Filth, and I thought that I would talk about it because I'm just desperate for views. Essentially, Francis of the Filth is this. It's designed to give you an idea of the origin of all your favorite characters from TV, Filthy Frank. Just give you an idea of where the characters came from and put some of the things that happen on the channel into context. Slightly, just like giving like a little extra peppering, a little extra layer of kind of bullshit on top of it. And it's a pretty decent like 250-page book. I mean, it's got some girth to it. It's a little bit girthy. I mean, it's about the size of your average book, more or less. Average novel. And I don't think that there's no better way than to just let's just get into it. I mean, it's okay. There isn't really anything that's all that much groundbreaking about it, and it was more so, I more than anything had just this feeling of interest. Like, it was just interesting to read it. Huh, that's where Frank came from. Or, huh, that's what Pink Guy's name is. Or, huh, there's an entire religion built into this book. George has just opened up this world and this line of thinking of a multi-tiered existence and multiple omniverses present within the one. It's bullshit. and having chromosomes be this midichlorian type currency in this realm, in this dimension, in this world that has been built. From Nazis to fart jokes to just like blatant decapitations, it's all just kind of just interesting. There's a lot of shit in here, and it's just kind of fun to like kind of walk along with a lot of these characters that we thought we knew and loved, and now there's like added layers to these characters. They're a little bit different than what you would expect. And in the coming years, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Filth become this major religion that a small handful of people decide to follow and have it be their moral code. Because I mean, the whole Pastafarian thing, that all started as a funny joke, like, haha, flying spaghetti monster. And I was like, oh, Francis the Filth. You know, it's just, there's these things that could happen, especially when a lot of YouTube's audience are children, and you're having a lot of these impressionable children being able to read this. It's going to infect their mind. Not infect, that's a bad way to put it. Some people are just going to be swayed. I can imagine some people getting persuaded in the coming years, and this suddenly becomes a weird, like, official religion that, like, a small percentage of people follow. Like, it's just, I could see it happening. It's like, in the near future, I could see it. More than anything, I think just the fact that this book is just kind of like a simple story, it's a little disappointing. From a lot of the tweets that he was making and a lot of the things that he was making it sound like, I thought it was going to be more of like a referential tome, like, you know, something more along the lines of like these massive fucking books that are just filled with information about the worlds that are present, you know, more so just giving you an idea of what is in this world and fully like having these nice like pictures. Having something like that is more of what I was expecting, because then we wouldn't have like the mystery of Frank's entire being would still kind of be a mystery. Like, you wouldn't necessarily fully know 100%, you know, where he came from, why he's doing the things that he's doing, but you have an understanding of the world that George has built. And I don't know, I just would have seen a lot more effort put into this book in terms of like pictures, like hiring artists and, you know, making just a massive book like this, you know, compared to just, you know, a little shitty paperback like this. And, you know, apparently there is a hardcover version of this book, but it was like twice the fucking price of just this. So I don't necessarily know what the hardcover would entail, because not even George had posted on his
Twitter
the hardcover copy. He had posted this kind. So there is still kind of like this mystery version that's just out there that I haven't seen of. But I mean, whatever. But I mean, more than anything, I just feel like there is going to be a level of disappointment, especially in the people that are super involved in lore. Maybe not with everybody, but I definitely see with some people being just disappointed because, you know, the mystery and the imagination is always so much better than when it's actually given to you. I'm not saying that I have an issue with the actual origin or whatever or anything about that, like, because, you know, I'll accept anything that he'll tell me, but I do think that there are some people, there is a possibility that people are going to be upset. But fuck them. One of my favorite things, ironically or unironically, is like, the beginning of every chapter, it always has to have this like just shallow kind of philosophy put to it. So it just like makes it makes the book just seem more profound than it actually is. It was like so, but wasn't. Frank came to, but did. All happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Psychics can see the color of time. Its past is a foreign country. They do things differently there. It's just fine. It's just all fine. It's okay. It's whatever. I don't care. For the most part, it's just all of your favorite TV Filthy Frank characters. Some kind of given a new light. Some of them are just a little bit different, and sometimes they're just off. Like sometimes when I'm reading like either Frank's dialogue or Pink Guy's dialogue, which he actually has like comprehensible dialogue, they're just not coming off as those characters. They're very verbose, and they're very, you know, there's strong diction in the way that they talk, and it's very proper, and it's not really kind of lining up with the Frank that at least I've come to know and love. You know, he's not fancy in the way that he speaks, but there's definitely fancy speak in this book. And more than anything, Pink Guy and Frank, when they are actually talking, they kind of sound the same. There isn't much different between them, and maybe that's a secret meaning. Oh, Pink Guy and Filthy Frank are the same person, but from different omniverses. Who knew? It just sucked. Oh my god, is this thing just littered with grammar issues and spelling issues, missing quotations, run-on sentences, incomplete sentences. The writing style just has this tendency of kind of overcomplicating sentences just to make it sound better, but in turn like sacrificing grammar. And I completely understand it because I can be guilty of the very same thing. You want things to sound elegant, so you use all the big words you know, and you try to come up with these just obscure metaphors. But you never took a proper English class, so maybe it sounds nice when spoken aloud, but when you're reading it, it just looks like a pile of ass. And good God, is the lack of indentations hard on the eyes. I don't know if it's just me, but books just look better when you're, you know, differentiating each and every paragraph, because then your brain just understands like, oh, this is a new thought, new line of thought. But when it's all on the straight line, it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just being stupid. But fuck, just indent your paragraphs. I mean, it's part of grammar. It's just a grammar thing. And maybe call this one just an obscene nitpick. But start all of your pages on the first line. I don't think this is necessarily an issue with George in the way that he was writing. I think it was more so transferring a format issue. Whatever program he's writing in, when it, you know, shipped over to this publisher, it's not focusing on making sure that each page is actually a new page. But I mean, there's a handful of spelling errors throughout the whole thing. I mean, like bro, Microsoft Word has a spell check thing. It shouldn't be that hard to, you know, see a little red squiggle line, but maybe you're not even using Microsoft Word. Maybe you're so cheap, you didn't even use Microsoft Word. You use Notepad. You use Notepad to write your book. The point is that just shouldn't be an issue. There shouldn't be spelling errors. We live in a world where spell check is over your shoulder and autocorrect is over your shoulder all the goddamn time. And like, I don't want to assume his economic class, but I feel like he could have just had one of his friends look at it, or have somebody other than him, or maybe even him, just kind of read over it. Just have him give you a few notes. Just make sure that you open and close your quotations. And like I said, I would have rather seen this be a big reverential Bible, basically, instead of just this glossy, make it look like it's a Bible cover, you know. And, you know, I would much rather be like, imagine like a big hardcover book and it's actually textured instead of just like looking like it's textured, and like the gold like actually imprinted into the book. Make it beautiful. Put fucking work into it and effort so it looks and feels and sounds great, you know. Cut the pages so they're like all uneven. I love when books do that shit. Instead, he just kind of gave us a mediocre bedtime story. Here's where I started, you know, to kind of lose it. Now, I don't want to claim to be like a Filthy Frank expert. I didn't, you know, fully watch every single, you know, fucking video before reading the book and like chronicling it down and building a timeline. But that's what this book like seems like it was meant to be. It's just the believability that this book is meant to chronicle for a lot of Frank's life and give context to a lot of things that happen. But like, I mean, in the book, Frank doesn't come to New York until 2017, even though the channel has, I mean, at least been highly active, you know, for the last 4 or 5 years or so. B, characters like Dave or Santa's brother or, you know, even the Tap brothers are not in this whatsoever. They're not mentioned, they're not brought about, you know, there's no explanation for them. And I feel like if this was going to be the Filthy Frank book, I feel like everything should be brought about and everything should be talked about and have a lot of just these like little nuggets of like, oh, I love that so much. Oh, I remember that. Oh, I love it. You know, like, don't just kind of gloss over it. I just felt like it needed to pay more respect to the quote-unquote source material as well as developing it. See, things that are even shown in the show, like things that we see in the show, are not the way that they are in the book. Like, for example, when Frank gets, you know, sent away by Chin Chin and he's like lost in the rice field for, you know, for however long, there's physically a scene where he like goes up to a bench and he sits on the bench and he finds the fucking recorder, Salamander Man's recorder, and he plays it, and then you hear yes in the background, like bullshit like that. Whereas in the book, he like gets it off of some like market guy, like a man at the market had it, and he goes talk to a doctor, how the doctor found it. Like, it becomes so much more different, even though it's something that's already instated. Like, I understand there's this idea of what you wanted to happen and what actually happened, but you can't just erase it and, you know, get rid of something that you've already made, because it's almost kind of like spitting in the face of your fans. Like, these are the things that people like. You're at the will of a very long-term storytelling. But this book exists in the YouTube universe. So it's entirely possible that in this book is a different version of Frank from a different omniverse. And although there are similarities to the things that happen in this book to the show, it's just not the Papa Franco that we came to know and love. Or George just didn't put enough effort into it. You know, a lot of thought, not enough effort, you know, kind of bullshit. And I hate to hard press it, but imagine if this book was just this big ass referential tome of just knowledge that depicted the world and showed us the characters and nice, neat little pictures and all this bullshit, instead of giving us actual things that happen, like a play-by-play of these people's lives. Instead, just kind of like vaguely hint at it and like give like a date of birth for Frank and like where Pink Guy came from and shit like this, but not actually chronicling their life. Like, just give us, you know, just a referential information, basically. Just vague ideas that lend to the bigger picture but doesn't actually give you any penultimate details. I just feel like it'd be better. Like, tell me about the Tap brothers and who the fuck they are, where they came from, what they are, blah blah blah, and bullshit like that. You know, explain your tiered system of, you know, the wretched and the beasts and the mortals and the Reagan files and the comma files and all the bullshit that's in it. Like, show me the Peace Lords and, like, you know, give me like detailed drawings of them, but don't give me a point A to B. Let people fill in whatever they want to fill in, but still give a lot of information and a lot of cool, interesting details at the same time. And just let the show fill in those gaps as well. The book is fine. I'm happy it exists, and although I'm disappointed and wish it was something bigger and better, I can't be mad at it. You know, I'm happy he's doing what the fuck he wants to do, more than anything, because I love fucking creators just doing shit. I love them making shit and, you know, like, just just working and wanting to provide for people, because the only reason he did it was because he wanted to give us a cool story. Like, that's all it was. He wasn't looking for a shitload of money. George just doesn't seem like that kind of person, and he doesn't seem like the kind of person who's just going to do something because he can make a quick buck off of it. He wanted to do it because he wanted his fans to be able to appreciate it and understand. But I just feel like there's a better way of going about it. There could have been a better way of making it better for the fans, putting more work into it so it's a quality product, not just a fun product. I will continue to support George in all of his endeavors because I really appreciate him as a DIY creator. The book is obviously not for everyone. If you can't look past the glaring grammar and spelling issues, if you can't look past the inconsistencies with the show, and you only like George because he makes music, you're gonna have a bad time. Even if you just appreciate George for his absurdist humor, this isn't really gonna tickle your fancy. But if you like George and you like the shit that he creates for him as a person, it's definitely gonna be right up your alley, I think. I think you'll get a kick out of this bitch. Fucking peace.